This podcast is part of the Game and Entertainment Network. Visit tgenetwork.net to find the latest episodes from all our shows.
It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Agronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belghast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again. Time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 102. Tonight I'm joined by Ashgar.
Hello.
Grace.
Hello.
Tam.
Hello.
Phelan.
Hey there.
And once again we are joined by Inky.
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good. So we got a bunch of topics, and last week we proved that I was no longer Chipmunk Bell, so that's a good thing. So Tam, you have been creating facsimiles of us in XCOM.
Facsimiles? Yeah, so,
Doppelgangers?
maybe. I never actually played the original XCOM, or, like, the previous remake.
And the unknown.
Yeah. But when I played it, I was working as a game designer, and a bunch of the people in the studio made me, and had a lot of fun telling me all of the tragic ways in which I perished in their games, as did pretty much all of my friends who played it. And so a friend of mine hooked me up with a copy of XCOM 2, and I figured I'd give it a shot. It's sort of more my speed, because I like the more future and less, like, modern day-y feel. Though, as I was told, I didn't play enough of the original to really get to the future-y stuff. But anyway, so I made a bunch of the AggroChat and extended crew as my team, as well as a bunch of self-insert characters. I've actually finished the campaign at this point, and I had only 4 deaths, and 3 of them were me.
I absolutely approve. I absolutely approve of Belghast in your version.
Yeah, the fourth one was Ash, who basically blew up a building and killed like 6 aliens in one turn, but didn't make it out of the building before it fell down. Also, destructible terrain is a thing, turns out. Bell mostly ran around cutting people with a sword.
I'm okay with this.
That sounds realistic, yes.
And Kodra was dressed in purple and green.
Yeah, it was as egregious as I could make it. It was perfect. Inky was a murder queen with like 70 kills by the end of the campaign.
That sounds about right.
Some ridiculous number. It was crazy. And Thalen and Ash were my support team, as was Grace. Although, I plugged Grace in with a whole bunch of like healing stuff, and then mostly what she did was shoot people.
That sounds about right. It's perfect.
It was oddly appropriate. But yeah, it's a really fun game. It stresses me out a lot, which is one of the reasons I played through it as quickly as I did, because it was just like, it's a super high stress game because you're constantly on this clock, and you can kind of mitigate the clock, but you can't stop it.
Yeah, it sounds like one of the biggest things that they added into to fix the problem in the first XCOM of your best tactic was to move forward super slowly and kill things one, group at a time, and it would get very boring and bogged down a lot of the time.
Yeah, and it's like almost every mission has a clock of some kind. Although I didn't actually find those terribly onerous, but the campaign has a clock too, like the campaign view. So like, what mission are you going to do? You only have time to do one. It takes a certain amount of time to scan this area, and while you do that, other stuff can happen. And so you're constantly like bouncing around, trying to put out fires.
That would actually drive me nuts.
It's really stressful. Like,
because do you remember me playing State of Decay, the zombie, story-driven game? That was the thing that drove me the nuts about, most insane about that is like, you could really only have time to do one thing. And like all these other things, like, so if you chose to go save this person, well, this other person is going to die. And it's just like, you can't ever do everything all at once. And I kept trying to triage everything going on and still failing.
Yeah, you can do some more triaging here, but it's still like it's still really stressful because you've got so many plates spinning at any given time.
Yeah.
There was a point close to the end where like things evened out. They have a lull right before the final series of missions, wherein you can kind of like catch your breath and catch up and then go into the final missions fresh. But up until that point, it's just this like breakneck speed. It's very much like playing Infinity as a video game, and I like it a lot. Or alternately, which may resonate with our listeners more, Infinity is a lot like playing XCOM, the tabletop game, I guess.
That's exactly how I used to sell Infinity to people at the game store.
It's super apt. Like, I mean, it almost point for point, like it's a very, very similar experience. It was really fun for exactly that reason. Like, I'm actually really looking forward to the DLC whenever it decides to come out, because it was just a lot of really cool flavor, chasing down upgrades and having my friends blast people away. I've learned my lesson about putting my self-insert characters in, though.
There's something about your name, I think, because like you died horribly in other people's campaigns, and now you're dying horribly in your own campaign.
I don't know what the deal is. I die horribly in people's XCOM games. It's a continual thing. Can't even make it through my own.
Was it what you were trying to do with your own character, or just bad luck?
It was just bad luck. I mean, for the most part, I wasn't even trying to do anything ridiculous. After I died several times, I was just like, whatever. We're just gonna keep going. We're just gonna be as reckless as possible. And the reckless guy actually lived.
AKA me?
Well, no, my TAM number 4
okay.
actually lived through to the end of the campaign.
Like, running around and hitting things with swords sounded pretty reckless, but...
Yeah. You got mind controlled a few times, so it was really bad time. That was really bad news for me.
Please tell me that was one of the deaths.
Yeah, it was. Two of my self-insert deaths were at the hands of my own squad mates.
That's awesome.
That also sounds accurate.
Yeah, but that's very true to life, though.
Yeah, one time you were mind controlled and cut me down with a sword, and the other time Brian panicked and shot me.
That's also very true to life.
It was oddly apropos. But yeah, really good game. Like, and if the crazy campaign pace, there's probably a mod to edit that. There's a bajillion mods for the game. Just browsing Steam Workshop.
I tell you, Steam Workshop has been an awesome thing for integration of mods, because like it's just so easy to get mods from it, whereas it used to always be a horrible experience to grab mods for other games. You had to not only have to track down the right site that had the files, and then figure out how to install them, and usually it was a very manual process, whereas Workshop just works. Like, you say, yes, I want to subscribe to this mod, and bam, it's there.
Nexus Mods isn't too terrible for getting mods easily and installing all that.
Yeah, Nexus Mods is also really good. I like that it's a lot easier to what's it called? It's a lot easier to just install mods in general. There's a lot of good third-party stuff. Whether that's Nexus Mods has the executable, right?
Yeah, they have their own manager.
Yeah.
And the only gotcha there is there's certain things that you have to run before you actually launch theirs if you're going to use it. Because there's always some of the stuff that will not install through Nexus, their manager thing. But I'd say 99% of the mods, especially for Bethesda games, will work just fine through their launcher.
Yeah, I pretty much have only used mods for Bethesda games, so...
Well, and they've really branched out, though, because I think they support BioWare titles, and they support a bunch of other stuff now as well. Which is not a horrible segue into another thing. Inky, you have been playing the semi-new Fallout 4 survival mode.
Yeah, I went ahead and signed up for the beta because I couldn't wait. I was a little bit, I don't know, I kind of bounced off of Automatron when it came out, and I've really been looking forward to Wasteland Workshop because I really want to build a Thunderdome, and I've really been looking forward to the survival mode. But man, I gotta tell you, that is a punishing difficulty.
It's you were describing, it's like the hardest difficulty plus a bunch of extra harder stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if I had one thing that I would change, it's that. Like, I wish that combat difficulty and just all of the extra stuff that then you have to manage were a little bit different, like maybe separate. However,
Yeah.
I don't know, it's given it so much more of a post-apocalyptic feel. Like I might not have thought anything about engaging with a group of 3 raiders before, but when you have true to life bullet lethality, like 4 bullets and you're dead, you tend to think twice when you see that like little patrol of raiders going by. I am so glad that I knew a pretty good trick for dealing with that beginning Deathclaw, because like that wasn't going to happen otherwise. So the thing that I'm finding is the most difficult thing to manage is that you can have a lot of things sort of go wrong with you and only antibiotics can fix them. So about like a game week in, I got weakness, which causes you to take 20% more damage. And when you're already dealing with the like, okay, 4 bullets can kill me, now 3 bullets can kill me. And the cure for that is antibiotics. And I have come across exactly 1 single antibiotics in the game. I tend to use intelligence as my dump stat a little bit in those games because I generally don't find that I need it until later in the game, where I can put some points into my special stats. And then, because, you sort of use it for like robotics expert and high level hacking and things like that. But
Yeah.
But it turns out that chemist suddenly got really, really good, because then you can make your own antibiotics. Oh, also worth mentioning, so another feature of this is that you can't fast travel, so there's no fast traveling, and you can only save when you've slept in a bed. There's literally like no save function, it just autosaves when you've slept in a bed.
So it makes all of those beds out in the world that are neutral or can be slept in a lot more useful.
Yeah, like I've never been so happy in my life to see like some of those like nasty ass mattresses just laying there. I'm like, oh, thank God. And the type of bed limits how long you can sleep, and you get tired, you get hungry, you get thirsty, so you have to manage all of those things. So I was talking about some of the bad things that can happen to you. I mentioned there was weakness, which causes you to take 20% more damage. I've also come across infection, which just does damage to you over time, and it does not do a small amount of damage. And I haven't like verified this, but I think that it might stack with the weakness, so I think I might be taking 20% more damage from infection as well.
Oh, that's just mean.
And we're talking like beginning of game, sort of low level. I don't have a lot of armor. I don't have a lot of hit points. I haven't beefed up yet or anything. I don't even really have that great of a weapon. I'm still using a 10mm pistol.
Well, and keeping enough ammo for that has got to be hell, too.
Yeah, and ammo has weight now. Like, they really sort of added everything. Like, there's all the food and drink stuff, there's all the diseases, things have weight, things are harder to find. I'm enjoying it in my sort of own masochistic way of like crawling through the game at a snail's pace, but having sort of fun with the role-playing aspect of it, because I really enjoy the like post-apocalyptic feel. And Radaway and Radex, they actually they have bad effects when you use them now. Like they'll make you tired, or they'll make you thirsty, or they'll lower your immunity, so you're more likely to get some of those things that I was talking about.
Oh, that's nasty.
Wow.
I don't know how somebody's going to deal with the Dune Sea then.
Yeah. So I'm actually really thankful for that little root cellar that's in Sanctuary, because when those radiation storms come by, like there's nowhere to hide other than there. Because the only way you're really safe from the effects of those is if you're, I guess, in a different cell. So I've been sort of hunkering down in there when those radiation storms come by.
Those radiation storms sucked, just like in the regular game.
But yeah, now when you do the Radex or the Radaway, it has a bad effect too. So you have to really think about, oh, do I need this yet, or can I get away with it, because it's going to make me more susceptible to disease, and it's going to make me tired and thirsty and hungry. I've come to the conclusion that the new character that I started, like I didn't really rebuild her or anything. I just sort of loaded up the first save from my old character and then just renamed her and stuff. I'm going to actually have to do a completely different build that puts more focus on being able to make medicine, maybe more sneaking, because I don't always want to engage with enemies. It really encourages a lot of different playstyle, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, that part sounds really cool.
I'm excited for when I think it's coming out with Wasteland Workshop, so just this Tuesday. I'm really excited for when it comes out because then I'll get all the extra things. Well, like I'm happy I did the beta.
I'm really surprised how fast these two DLCs have come out. Like, there's not much time between them.
Well, I think they had like that release planned because, everybody's probably now starting to get bored with the main game. So now, yay, all these DLCs come out. It's pretty exciting. I'm still waiting for the modding tools. I'm like chomping at the bit for modding tools. I want to make mods.
I'm really surprised that's not out yet.
It took a while for Skyrim.
Well, and this one's going to be way more complicated than Skyrim probably was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't imagine just having to integrate the modding tools with all of the like settlement building tool stuff. It must be some sort of nightmare. I don't know a whole lot about game programming or things like that, but I imagine that the settlement tools were kind of a nightmare to have to program with all the like pathing and NPCs and stuff, and add in modding tools to that probably.
Yeah, part of me is like, I bet half of the work is already done because they put that just straight into the game, and the other part is, yeah, that's way more places for players to find creative ways to break it, because that's what we do.
Yep.
Well, it's like they say, the difference between trying to explain easy and impossible is impossible to explain.
It's like the birds.
I've already managed to break the pathing a ton with the way that I build settlements because I want to wall everything off and make it super defensible, and all my NPCs are like, there's a wall here, I can't walk through there, oh no, what's going on?
They get really confused too, like they'll just kind of stand there.
I have one settler that's just regularly walking through a wall instead of walking around and going through the gate because apparently walking through a wall is way easier. Yet these people can't build their own beds, so
The thing that always cracked me up is like I played the game of link everybody back to this one settlement so that I could, craft connectedly from all of my settlements. But then what ends up happening is like all of the caravans get confused and path into each other. So like every time I'm in there, there's just like a wall of caravans waiting to get into town.
I made the super shitty mistake of making Hangman's Alley my like main hub because it was in the middle of the map, and all of the caravans would just get stuck there and be like Brahmins up on the balconies, and just everybody would be really confused.
Yeah.
I also built the super shack in the middle of Hangman's Alley as well, and everyone was confused by that because there was no longer just this giant open pathway there. I'd get Brahmins stuck in the super shack.
I decided to build the machine in Hangman's Alley, and there's barely any space to put it. Like, with it there, you can't hardly walk around.
Oh, like the endgame machine where
Yeah,
you're getting
yeah.
it? Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can't hardly move around in there with that thing in there. But
So
it was
people
like a
just walk down
settlement
the
I
street,
wasn't
what the
using.
hell is that?
Yeah. It was just a settlement I wasn't using, and like I had built up too much in my others, and I'd have to tear down to build, or give it space to build it.
Yeah, that's why I stuck it in the swamp, because I'm not putting anything else useful there.
That was like the worst settlement location. It was just like, oh, here's Mirelurk Queens all the time. Have fun.
Yep. Like, how did you guys not get eaten by Mirelurks yet? This is a bad place. I think my favorite settlement that I didn't really use was the one with all the robot gardeners.
Grey Garden?
Yeah, Grey Garden.
I really wanted to be able to send some of the Mr. Handies to other places so that like everybody had a robot, but it wouldn't let me do that. I guess that's the sort of thing that I could do now with the robot DLC.
Do you just get new options with the DLC?
To be honest, I haven't really played through it very much, but from like videos I've seen and stuff, it looks like you can build all of your own robots from scratch. You can have robots that live in your settlement and guard your settlement.
Oh, that's awesome.
If I were a more like robotics focused character, I think I would have had a lot more fun with it. So maybe I'll go ahead and when this new DLC comes out, I'll build a character that's more smart and more inclined towards working with robots and stuff.
I feel like having a robot army would be pretty great for the old survival mode.
So the one thing that was interfering with I guess my fun a little bit is I was like, okay, I'm going to take Codsworth with me because he's actually pretty effective, like especially at low level when I just suck at everything and he's got a flamethrower. But because of the Automatron DLC, when he broke, like I have to use a robot repair kit to fix him, and I don't have that function yet. So I had to kind of just abandon him in the Concord like sewers after he fought a Mirelurk for me.
Oh, poor Codsworth.
He made his way back home, but I was really sad. I'm like, I only have stim packs and those don't work anymore. I mean, I guess that makes sense. I really shouldn't be able to just like stim pack a robot and then it gets better. That doesn't at all.
Depends on the robot, I guess.
And just what's in those stim packs.
So I was really excited because today I got I haven't bought any Funko Pops yet because I know that's a really dangerous road for me, the person that likes to collect everything. But because sort of hard drives don't really take up very much space in a case anymore because they're all flat and tiny. They're just these tiny little rectangles. But my case has these huge drive bays. I actually took out some of the drive bays and now I just have like a little spot where I can put toys inside my computer, and because it's got a clear side, I put Funko Pops of Dog Meat and Hancock in there, so they're hanging out with me.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's so awesome.
That's a brilliant idea.
I
Inky's
shared
case
some
is
pictures.
awesome.
I shared some pictures in the Slack channel, as well as a video, because like my case and all of my peripherals light up with rainbow colors.
It's super neat. It'll make you want to buy a new computer.
So I felt like I had a minor Funko Pop thing going on. Like I'd pick them up occasionally, and then I was roaming around and I found a place that had them on sale for buy one get one half off. So I had to pick up like 4 there. And then like a friend of mine had been getting loot crates, and apparently he's just not into that sort of stuff. So he brought me like this huge bag full of random loot crate stuff, and a lot of them were different Funko Pops, like, you know, Doc Brown and
Oh, that's awesome.
Han Solo, and so I apparently now have a Funko Pop collection.
I gotta be careful with it because I do have a tendency to just like hoard shit. But I figure I'll be safe with like when I'm playing a game, I can get like some of my favorite characters and put them in my case while I'm playing the game. I previously had the little like bobblehead that came with the Fallout 3 in my case, and it kept me company while I played like 300 hours of Fallout 4.
Nice.
Honestly, what's been dangerous for me were Disney Infinity figures.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I can't even start with.
I'm not quite so like I'm kind of forcing myself to only pick up the ones that I really want unless they're on sale. And as they've been closing out, like the 2.0 Marvel stuff, I've been picking up all of it for like $4 or so, whenever I find them.
Actually,
so I think I have like almost all of the Marvel series run now because I've picked them up for $4 to $6 a piece when I've found them. The thing that shocked me though is I don't have any Amiibos yet, and I have a Wii U now.
Yeah, I've been staying far away from Amiibo.
But I have a bunch anyway.
Yeah, Amiibos and Disney Infinity. I'm just like, nope, I need to not do this.
Yeah,
because if
I
I
need
start,
to stay far away, or it's just going to be a bad time.
Yeah.
I like how we're all like, nope, that's some crack. Just staying away from that.
I know it's crack, but I still do it.
I know it's crack.
It's like when I worked I worked at a tabletop game store. Like I always used to love when a new Magic set would come out. We had to open like 1 billion packs to fill up the Magic binders. I'm like, this is so much fun. I think this is like a gambling addiction. Like maybe I should not do this.
See, like I know opening packs is the worst way to acquire cards, but it's also my favorite way. And there is a thing called new pack smell that is totally addictive.
It's true.
Like, I haven't played Magic in probably, I don't know, at least 15 years or something, and I still know that smell.
Yep,
and it's amazing.
It pings the same sort of like, oh, this is nice, as like a fresh book sort of thing.
Yes.
But mixed with the possibility of getting something really cool by chance.
He's not here. You know who has no idea what that smell is like? I've mentioned
Kodra.
it to him. Kodra doesn't. You'd think he would, but he
doesn't open packs.
He doesn't.
But he does though. For
he
drafts
does sometimes.
only.
But see, he didn't ever savor the packs. Like you open them and then you take a sniff and you smell the new pack smell, and
We started doing that like sealed thing one time, and that was a lot of fun because Kodra bought the packs and then got to open them and play with them.
I think the reason why I know it has a specific smell is the way I used to open Magic the Gathering packs was always the same. I would like hold it in my teeth and rip it.
That's the most
to get it started.
effective way to open a pack.
Yeah, And but that gets you close to your nose as you're opening it, and you get like that first whiff of the pack.
Yep.
And yep.
When I was working at the store, I found like there's like a really effective way of opening the pack where you sort of like slide your thumb in the like bit that sticks out and then open it like a bag of chips. But that took some like practice.
It takes more time. Well, what cracks me up is that like packs are pre-cut now. Like Magic the Gathering packs have these little perforated bits on them now.
Oh wow, are they really?
Yeah, like it's really subtle, but there's a slight perforation there to make it rip open quicker.
I somehow never noticed that.
It's only been in like the last several sets. I mean, I don't like play Magic anymore, but every so often on a whim I'll pick up a pack here and there.
See, that's me with like those blind box toys. I have
Oh god, I love them.
So too many of those. Like it's obscene the amount of those that I have.
Like, and every so often, like, I have really bad luck of opening the exact same ones every time.
That happens to me every single time I buy more than one of those at a time.
Yeah, like, so I bought, there was a pop culture line of the Funko Minis, and it was awesome. It had, like, RoboCop and E.T. and, Flynn from Tron. And, I picked up 2 boxes, and I got E.T. and the Tron figure. And then later on, I was at a different store because the original store sold out, and I picked up 2 boxes, and I got E.T. and the Tron figure.
I used to tend to like ameliorate that problem by just buying them by the case.
I don't. I feel like blind bags for me are one step too far.
Like I like doing the whole case sort of thing when I wanted most of the things from the set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when I used to play the D&D minis game, and I would just buy those things by the case and just open a million packs, and it didn't matter because hopefully between a case and a little bit of trading, you would kind of get everything you wanted.
Yep. Yeah, that's how I used to buy HeroClix.
Yeah, I was just thinking that I had a buddy when I was in Austin who was really into HeroClix, and I remember one time he was like, hey, a new set came out. Do you guys want to open these with me? Because I think he had a severe collection. He said he was like short 14 out of all of them.
If he was getting by the case, I believe it.
It was intense. He was like, yeah, I actually went to the Comic-Con HeroClix thing to see if they had any that I didn't, and they didn't.
I mean, a friend and I would split a case each time a new set came out. And splitting a case, each of us would end up with at least one of almost every non-unique.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only one of that type of game that I ever got into was the BattleTech. My crack, though, is the Lego minifigures packs.
I have the entirety of Series 1 and 2. And then I stopped because they just were coming out with a new series every month.
Yeah.
I was just like, I can't anymore. This is getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
We have a lot of Legos in the house, though, already, because Jonathan, all of his Legos from
I have a business Unikitty from when I started the MBA.
So, for the people that have been listening to the podcast for a while, they might remember Ray. She is absolutely Unikitty. Like, everything about her is Unikitty. We have all sorts of Unikitty stuff at work.
Got it.
Okay, so that's probably enough toy talk for now. Something else that's coming up this week is that Division is launching its very first patch on the exact same day that Destiny is launching its big patch.
Probably not coincidence.
Not coincidence at all. And man, so the Division patch is I'm not a big fan of it. They're severely nerfing crafting, and one of the things that I liked about the game going into it was that, like they said, you can get the max level stuff through either crafting or PvE encounters or the Dark Zone quote unquote PvP encounters. And it's definitely going to be harder to get it through the crafting system. And I think in part the reason why they're doing this is because people were skipping the Dark Zone and just crafting their gear.
Yeah, I mean, that seems legit.
How dare you refuse to PvP if you don't like PvP?
Yeah, well, and what's frustrating is so when I first started crafting in the Division, I thought, man, this is a perfectly reasonable crafting system. you have different tiers of craftables. So you have green, blue. Is there a purple? No, there's no purple. Green, blue, and, well, there might be purple. I don't know. Green, blue, and
Top is
orange.
actually gold or something, isn't it?
Yeah, it's gold.
Yeah.
There is a purple rarity of items, but I don't think there are of crafting materials. But anyway, so you have multiple rarities, and you could convert between them. So, like, you can convert your greens up to blues, your blues up to orange, and the conversion rate was pretty sane. Like, so it took 5 greens to make a blue, 5 blues to make an orange. When the patch goes in, it is going to be 10 greens make a blue, and 15 blues make an orange. And they're also nerfing the amount of crafting materials that you get off deconstruction of items to no more than 1 item ever. So it feels like they're desperately trying to throttle players and slow them down, which is what happens so often with MMOs. Is like especially for new-ish companies. Like, so Ubisoft doesn't really have a lot of MMO experience, so I think everybody goes through this. BioWare definitely went through it. They were freaking out that everybody was burning through their content.
Yep.
So, yeah, and I think this is the wrong direction, and it's going to piss players off. And I think a lot of people are just going to say, nope, okay, screw it, I'm not going to play this game anymore. Especially the more casual players, because what's frustrating is this is another case where the people that burnt up quickly got the cool toys, and now everyone else that comes after them is going to have a much harder time getting the toys.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Yep.
And so, like, this week, I have been converting everything in my crafting inventory to the highest possible tier I can do, just to be prepared for it, because, like, I know it's going to be significantly harder to come by as soon as Tuesday lands. And what I find is interesting...
on Tuesday.
I don't know. We could blame Blizzard, because really the Tuesday thing started with WoW.
It was even before WoW.
No,
Tuesday's
like...
just a good patch day.
Well, like, EQ patched all the freaking time. Like,
That's true.
It was
patch whenever it used.
And Dark Age Camelot was the same way. Like, they brought down the servers. They gave you some notice, but they brought down the servers whenever they felt like it. And
I guess if you're putting out a console patch, it has to be on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the day new stuff shows up on the in-game stores.
Yep.
But what I find is so interesting is, like, contrasting the patches of The Division versus the patches of Destiny is The Division feels very anti-player. Like, there's putting some stuff in that's kind of cool, like they're putting incursions in, which is a brand new feature, which is basically heroic dungeons. But all of the other changes seem to either be throttling drops or lowering the chance of things from this or that, or definitely with the crafting system. The crafting system is going to be the most painful. Like, crafting high-end gear, which is the orange tier, and it drives me insane that they actually call their orange tier high-end. It's going to be really hard. Like, they're also increasing the number of materials it takes to craft something. So in the past, I think it took 8 of the orange craftables to make, like, a weapon, and now it's going to take 10. So they're inflating the amount you need a little bit as well. So they're just slowing it down greatly. Whereas in Destiny, like, a lot of the changes that are going in are really good quality of life changes. So apparently they really are putting a floor on light levels when you decode engrams. Supposedly, and this is... they've said it a couple of different ways, and if we understand it correctly, when you decode an engram, it is going to be at least whatever your current light is. So, like, if you're 309 and you decode an engram, it's going to be 309 or 310 or 312, or at least as good as what you're currently wearing. Which is massive. Like, because, like, right now, I'm sitting at 309 light, and I get a significant number of 260 blues and 270 purples. And it's insane.
It's really interesting, because I feel like both of those games are coming from different directions. Like, Destiny
started with the most punishing loot system ever.
It was awful. Like, it was enough that not only have I quit, I have come back to it even after people have told me it's better.
Yeah.
Because it burned me so hard.
Right. And that was the way it was. And they have continually relaxed that position and made the game better. So the big thing, okay, the Ingram thing is nice. But the biggest thing for me is they put in an infusion system with Taken King to where you could take a piece of gear, and if you liked it, you could continue to level it up by eating other pieces of gear. The problem is, logistically, how that worked is you would have to eat 3-4 items to level up an item. Like, so you had to have a lot of fodder to feed your items to somehow increase the light, because the maximum light gain on like a purple is like 6 levels of light. But now they're making it so that when you eat an item, if you pour a 320 into a 260 item, that 260 item is going to be 320. It just takes the new light level and then increases its stats accordingly based on the new light level. So that's a massive quality of life change. You no longer have to keep all of this crap. So my vault is full of items that are in the 280 range so that I can feed them to a new piece of gear before feeding it the 290s and so on to help stair step the item up. And now if you want to make this item, be the current light level, you just feed it a single item and it goes up there.
I feel like both of these games are trying to approach a semi-balanced loot system from different directions.
Yeah, they absolutely are.
And I feel like this is a win for marketing, most of all. Because if you start maybe a little too punitive and adjust up, then it seems like you're making everything better.
Yeah, and that's absolutely what it feels like as a player, is like this game has continued to get more pro player in essence.
Or it feels more pro player.
Right.
Because it's coming from a place where it was much worse.
It was horrible at the beginning, and now it's not.
That screams, it's better to start terrible than start too easy.
That's like, okay, my wife is a teacher. My wife is a teacher, and on day 1 of class, you have to come in like a hard ass. And over time, you can relax a little bit based on the maturity of the students. But you can't ever get back to being a hard ass once you've been a soft teacher. Like, that's never a thing that works. So I feel like that's kind of what's happening here, is like they were really punitive and now they can relax and we're happy because of it. But if they ever harden it again, we will be pissed because we are used to the way it is now.
We had we were working on ESO. We had a conversation at one point where somebody was like, how do we plan for how fast players will get through our content? Somebody's comment was, okay, how many days you think it'll take, turn all those days into hours. Now have it. And there's your number. It was like, yeah, it's not actually wrong. I think he was within like 10%.
Yeah. Players are always going to burn through content faster than you think. And the only thing that I can say as a negative to this Destiny patch is, for the most part, it's all recycled content. Like they are making year 2 versions of year 1 content. Like, so Prison of Elders was a raid that was released in year 1, and they've updated it and added new stuff to it and have made it year 2 relevant. And at the same time, they've gone a little bit further and they've added what they call a challenge mode, to where once a week you'll get what is, for lack of a better term, a scorecard. And if during that week you manage to get a dozen victories or whatever the goal is, I don't remember what the actual number is, you can turn in your card at the Prison of Elders folks and they will give you a single guaranteed max item level item. But the encounters themselves are it's a random assortment of various, it's kind of a ring event where different mobs spawn in and you draw from a pool of like 20 different monsters. So yeah, I mean, they've just reskinned old content, but I don't think people are going to care.
Including that sniper rifle everybody loves so much.
Well, that sniper rifle, that's actually kind of new for this one. The Zen Meteor. The only problem is it's a PlayStation exclusive, so Xbox players are going to get salty. There's a whole bunch of PlayStation exclusives that come with Destiny. There's like a new armor set for each of the classes. There's a new exotic.
PlayStation exclusive for like a few months, right?
I don't know. I don't know if it's okay. So Jade Rabbit is the exclusive from Taken King, and it is still exclusive after all this time. It was considered a year 2 exclusive, so I don't know if these are just for a few months or if this is also considered year 2 exclusive content. The big problem with Zen Meteor, though, is most of the time when there's been an exclusive exotic, it was of a specific archetype that was widely available. So there were lots of different weapons that provided that same feature. Zen Meteor so far looks like a brand new sniper archetype. So hopefully,
the one before that shot exploding bullets. Nobody cared that it shot exploding bullets because it also had infinite ammo.
I don't remember. Oh, Dreg's Promise, maybe?
I don't remember. I guess.
I mean, my favorite exotic right now, thanks to the time I've spent PvPing, is Invective, which is a shotgun that regenerates ammo over time, which is horribly broken in a Crucible environment where special ammo is normally rationed, but all you have to do is wait 6 seconds or whatever the time is it takes for a pulse of regeneration to happen. But anyway, I find it interesting how different these two patches feel that are happening on the same day. As it feels like Division is bringing down the hammer, and players are going to be upset by it, whereas in Destiny it feels like they're continuing to loosen a little bit, and it feels really good.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's also one game is basically brand new, and the other one has been out for a while.
Well, I feel like Activision / Bungie understands its player base now at this point better than Division does yet.
That's almost certainly true. I mean,
yeah,
like I said, a year and change will get that.
Well, and there's also the aspect that this is really the first MMO type game for Ubisoft.
I mean, probably it's the first time Ubisoft's published it, but
like, have they had an MMO before?
No, but no, Ubisoft hasn't. Well, not really, no. But I also feel like they probably hired a not insignificant number of people who know what they're talking about as far as MMOs go. So it's like, sure, Ubisoft, the publisher, has never published an MMO, but they almost certainly have the staff. Like, the games industry is a small place. They've almost certainly got the staff who knows how MMOs are done.
Right. Well, they went off and created like another studio, Massive or whatever, for this purpose, so I would assume they stocked that full of people that have had experience. But by that same token, I feel like it was easier just to go craft it than to go grind the Dark Zone was a easy call to make. Like, somebody should have guessed that was going to happen. Well, another thing that happened this week, the Rogue One trailer.
Yes.
Oh my god, yes.
Yay.
Star Wars is awesome again, you guys. I'm so happy.
It makes me feel so good that, like, it's a thing.
Yep, I spent all that lead up time before The Force Awakens came out. Everyone else was slowly getting hyped up, just sort of hiding and burying my head in the sand and worrying that it was going to be terrible. And then it came out and it was amazing, and now I will be hyped about Star Wars forever again.
Well, and what's even better in this case is, like, okay, yeah, it's half a year away, but it's going to be this year.
Yeah,
like, it's not several years out at this point.
I like that it's getting on that sort of Marvel cycle of like a movie every year.
Yeah, but like not the same movie. Not even like this is the trailer like looks and feels totally different from The Force Awakens while still being like distinctly Star Wars, and that's so neat.
Well, that's been the thing with the Marvel movies, is like it really doesn't matter what property you see because you know it's all kind of adding towards a larger picture. And in the Star Wars series, it feels like we're finally getting to flesh out some of these things that we know about but aren't actually seeing.
And it seems like they're doing a really good job with that.
And part of me really, really, really hopes that what we saw was a Terraskazi master.
I mean, that's the fun thing now is like all the speculation, and it's close enough to coming out that it feels fun to speculate instead of like, oh my god, it's going to be 3 years before this movie comes out and all we can do is speculate.
Well, that's been the hardest thing, though, is knowing that the expanded universe has been thrown out, but some of the elements are making their way back in, and not knowing quite what is going to be canon and what is not going to be canon.
Yeah, I'm a little part of me is sad that Kyle Katarn, no longer gets to be a part of this story, but I'm willing to give that up. It looks like what we're getting in its place is really awesome, so.
Right?
Yeah.
I know that I'm much more of a casual Star Wars fan than a lot of you guys. I sort of had the experience of I loved watching the original trilogy growing up, and then like the new movies came out, and I was just like, oh, my love for Star Wars is dead.
That's kind of how I felt too. I tried really hard to keep it alive, but I was constantly disappointed.
But now I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, oh wow, this is really awesome. This feels like original trilogy, and I'm really excited to like sort of delve back into that world and start getting excited and start getting into the fandom more.
I was the right age to still be amused by episode 1. But after that, less so.
I had Knights of the Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic was what kept the torch lit for a long time.
Well, that was basically the setting that I went in to forget that the rest of the thing existed, because the BioWare Star Wars stuff was just so good.
Yeah, it was excellent. It was excellent Star Wars stuff at a time when the actual Star Wars stuff was kind of terrible.
Well,
I wish I'd known that it was so good because, like I said, I just saw that one movie and I was like, oh, this is awful. I don't want to explore any other Star Wars stuff if it's all like this.
Yeah.
Yeah, everything in the Old Republic setting was really good.
Well, and I honestly liked all the Dark Forces stuff as well, but...
Yeah, but that was out before the new movies. Though I did play a lot of that too. I might like Star Wars a bit.
And if you want to explore more of everything surrounding, all of it, the comic series are killing it.
Oh, they're amazing.
They are amazing. Every single one of them. There has not been a bad one yet.
I love the way that cameos happen in each of the comics, and they kind of link up, but not really. Like, there's a certain linkage between them.
I need to find where I can put Season 2 of Rebels into my face. Because, I watched the Clone Wars, and, the first season of the Clone Wars was, we have no idea who our audience is, and was really, really uneven. And Season 2 kind of got a little bit better. It had more interesting stuff, but it still had, those weird, goofy beats. And I didn't watch them, but I heard that Seasons 3 and 4 got way better.
Oh, they're really good. They're really good.
I've heard that by the end it's, crazy good. And I believe it because I watched the first season of Rebels and was like, holy crap, this is awesome. And I want more of that.
If for no reason other than the Ahsoka and Anakin dynamic, you need to watch Season 3 of Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Especially if you're planning on watching Rebels.
Yeah, I was surprised by Rebels. I just sort of sat down and started watching it at some point, thinking, I'll see how this goes. And I got, really invested in it.
Yeah, well, it's got really, really great characters.
It does.
I was able to watch it off of the Disney XD website.
That was very short term.
Okay. I haven't seen all of Season 2. I've seen parts of Season 2. But now that I'm done with Daredevil, I'll have to dig up Season 2 somewhere and watch it.
If you figure out where, you let me know.
And Daredevil is freaking amazing if you haven't seen that yet.
I don't really watch that much TV. I'm not a superheroes.
But Daredevil. I maybe have a soft spot because I always liked Daredevil and the Hell's Kitchen group of superheroes. But I'm really looking forward to the movie, and I'm curious exactly which elements are going to happen that we already know about and which ones are going to deviate. Because unfortunately, everything we know about the lead up to the first attack on the Death Star is mostly from the EU. Yeah.
The main thing that I know is, the Dark Forces.
Right.
Everything. I'm trying to think of other stuff that really covered that particular space of time, and I can't think of much.
So, do we...
Force Unleashed touches it a bit, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess it does.
Not that that's canon anymore.
Does
Exactly.
Neither is Dark Forces.
No, Lost Star, right? The new novel.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was a really good book.
It was really good. Yeah, I was surprised buy that as well. Like it
I
was
was-
way
yeah.
better than like the novelization of the movie.
I was super. It was the highest rated of the books, and I was like, okay, I'll read the highest rated of the books, and it was really good. And I've been told by a number of people just don't bother with the rest of the books and read the comics instead because none of the other books are as good. That one was really good.
The comic, like, I've not read the comics that tie into Force Awakens, but I will say the other comics are freaking amazing.
There haven't been a whole lot yet that tie into Force Awakens. The Poe Dameron series, the first issue just came out this week and is really good.
I'm pretty sure I need to read a comic series that's all about Poe Dameron.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, my friend posted that she got one of those, and I'm like, oh my god, there's a Poe Dameron comic. I need to read that.
Yes. First issue came out this week. It's being written by Charles Soule, the guy that's been writing Daredevil recently, some other stuff. It was amazing. And Phil Noto is doing the art, and it's just spot on. He needs to be drawing all the Star Wars comics.
Okay, just before the podcast, we were having a little bit of a conversation, and Inky, you were talking about a game that you've been recently playing called Submerged.
Oh yeah, that was the other thing that I'd been playing. It's one of those that, kind of gets tagged as a walking simulator, but since I recently got a fracture in my foot and haven't been able to walk lately, I've been looking for sort of like easy to digest games that I can play and eat up some hours so I don't go crazy being stuck at home. So I really like this game. I like a lot of exploration games. It's sort of, if you check out its Steam page, it's kind of disguised as a platformer. It looks like the sort of thing where you have to do complicated jumps and climbing and stuff. But really, it's just about exploring. It's about finding the correct pathway through and finding a lot of the hidden secrets and story about the world.
That is a giant island whale.
Yep.
That looks awesome.
That was the screenshot that I was like, maybe I need to try this game out. That looks awesome.
So I completed the game in about 4 hours. So, like 4.5 hours. And that's like a pretty complete playthrough. It sort of centers around you're like about a teenage age girl and you're floating through this city with your brother who appears to be like really sick or dying of some injury. And as you explore the various buildings, this sunken city, you're getting more clues as to what happened to get your brother like that, what happened to the world to make the city be like that, and there's some pretty like weird creatures you can run into. There's a lot of sea creatures that have been sort of transformed a bit, and I won't spoil like the main creature, but it's sort of got this creepy feel because you don't really have a weapon or any way to defend yourself. It's really just about exploring, and it gives a lot of a different feel to the game than if you just sort of had a gun or a spear or something and were running around like doing combat. I really tend to like the games where you're just focused on finding out the story. It makes a nice change from things like the other sorts of I play, like Fallout or Borderlands, where it's really relaxing to like shoot people. There's something really nice about just sort of floating around in your boat through this city. There's sort of like the story pressure of, your brother's dying and you're trying to find him. But there's really no time crunch. You can just sort of float around, discover landmarks, find story. It's really great.
It looks really cool. Like, for whatever reason, when you said that the name Submerged, I was thinking of a completely different game. And this looks interesting. And since we're kind of doing a walking simulator of a game for our game of the month.
Yeah, like I've already played through Gone Home already, and it sort of like got me in the mood to play more of those games, and that one was pretty highly rated. And it's absolutely beautiful too. Like
it looks gorgeous.
Yeah, the world design is really pretty. It can get a little samey after a while. Like I played it all in one sitting though, so that's maybe if you play, like, won't just sit there all day and play it. But yeah, it's super gorgeous, and it was good value, and I had a lot of fun with it.
That's cool.
I always like finding those sorts of little games. I was thinking about like maybe picking up Firewatch as well. That looked potentially interesting to play.
Yeah, that one is definitely on my list. Like,
Yeah,
I need to play that.
I always enjoy playing a lot of just sort of the big names, then breaking those up with some shorter games. Gives you a chance to check out like the indies doing. have
Yeah.
a little bit more of a relaxing experience.
The weird thing about Firewatch is, like, the main reason why I want to play through that game is just to listen to the soundtrack that's interwoven in it. That's a pseudo 80s soundtrack.
I enjoyed that about the latest Metal Gear Solid game like way too much, like all the 80s music. I'm a sucker for those like vintage music soundtracks. I like it in Fallout as well.
I can sing the words to pretty much every song that's been in a Fallout game because I've heard them so many times.
I used to put it on like I like made a Pandora seed of most of the artists that had music in Fallout and then put it on the radio store I worked in. It significantly cheered me up while I was at work.
I think that may be why I like listening to game soundtracks that much, is because it kind of makes me forget I'm at work and I might as well be playing a game. So, do we have anything else that we want to really touch on this week?
Other than I'm kind of wondering if the dude in the dude that gets like 2 seconds of screen time in the Rogue One trailer is actually Kyle Katarn.
No, okay, so I did the thing where I go trace down every video that has anyone talking about any details that have ever been listed about this movie, which is always a bad thing. And someone gave him a name because it was mentioned in some panel somewhere. It wasn't a name that I recognized, but man, I would love for it to be a Kyle Katarn cameo.
I'm just saying, the female lead's name is Jin Urso.
Yeah.
Which is about as close to Jan Orr's.
Yes.
That's true.
Like,
I mean, they could absolutely just be doing a name swap. Like, it could be based on the character.
Yeah.
Well, it's entirely possible, but they're lying to us about who that character is. You know?
Well, and that was the thing that, like, at work, we have a lot of these conversations because I lead a group of developers. And we were talking about, like, it is absolutely possible that one or more of these characters are using an assumed name.
Yeah, I would be overjoyed if, Kyle Katarn made an appearance in the movie, or if there were, some Dark Troopers in there somewhere.
Well, yeah, like those looked like Dark Troopers. Not the big roided up Dark Troopers, but like the early Phase 1 Dark Troopers. That's kind of what they look like to me.
So, yeah, I was thinking the big ones, but yeah, I could see the...
I mean, because there's like 3 phases of Dark Troopers as they get more badass.
God, fuck those guys. They're the worst.
The final version? God, yes, they were horrible. The earlier versions were mostly manageable. I guess, honestly, like, the thing that I would love the most about them making Dark Forces be canon is that would also give us Mara Jade.
Does it?
Yes, Mara Jade is in the expansion to the second Dark Forces game.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
Not gonna happen.
Yeah.
But I want Mara Jade back.
Gonna happen.
Yeah.
Mara Jade was awesome.
That I'm not expecting.
But I do kind of expect the movie to have an almost Dark Forces feel to it.
It feels like a war movie more than...
Yeah, but like this is a covert thing.
Yeah.
It's like a heist movie.
Yeah, somebody mentioned it like an Ocean's 11 movie.
I'm okay with this.
And there's a scene where they're being followed by a droid, and apparently somewhere there was a snippet talking about how they somehow hack a droid or something like that. But it'll be interesting.
I am excited.
Well, like, I seriously, I watched that trailer 10 times the day it came out. Not much work was done on that day. It was mostly furious Googling to figure out exactly what the name of the character was, because, like, I got the name Jin. I thought it was Jin Orso. But, yeah. But anyway, anything else before we wrap up?
Oh, I wanted to mention, because I did talk about my case, and that's not a visual thing, I did put up a picture of my little Funko sitting in my case on my Steam account, if anyone could get it.
Cool. I mean, if I remember, I will try and put a copy of that picture on the AggroChat page for this podcast whenever it gets published. Okay, well, let's wrap things up. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this, and it was awesome having Inky again. And I think she has committed to do the Gone Home podcast next week? Or is it 2?
No,
it's either 2
2
weeks from now.
Okay,
But anyway,
because
it's coming
I'm,
up soon.
Actually, 3 weeks from now.
Wow, really?
Really?
I guess we're not as far into April as I think we are.
We're really not.
But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the show, and you will join us again next week when we talk about random stuff. But anyway, good night!
Good night.
See you.
Good night.